Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. So today guys, I want to do just a really simple educational video on what I believe can strongly help you get yourself into your best shape and help you towards your weight loss goals once we understand the basics about what it takes to be in a calorie deficit. Now, there's a lot of great information out there about how we can get ourselves into great shape, but it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. I know myself, I've sort of read through lots of literature and watched lots of videos of some really great trainers, but they can sort of go into too much detail and we can get a little bit lost in it. So what I thought I would do is break it down nice and simply so you can understand it and then get about to being your best. So all we need to know and all we need to understand that when it comes to losing weight, there is one thing that you need to do, is you need to be in a calorie deficit. So that means we need to be burning more calories than what we're consuming on a daily basis. If you've been trying to lose weight over an extended period of time and the scale's not going down, by definition, you haven't been in a calorie deficit. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, so you need to make the adjustments needed and we'll go into those as we go, guys. Now, when it comes to calories in versus calories out, all we need to know and understand is there's just a couple of key areas. So with the calories in, that's nice and simple. That's just the food that we consume on a daily basis, okay? Everything that we have has got calories in it. Those calories add up, and at the end of the day, it gives us a number to the amount of calories we've eaten or drank for that day. Pretty simple. Calories out, it's a little bit more complex, but I'm going to break it down really simple for you guys. So there's 4 areas that come into play. There's our BMR, which is basically the calories we burn by just say laying down, being still, just being our cool selves, okay? So it's just the calories that our body burns to keep us alive. That's all it is, okay? Then we've got what they call NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And all that means, guys, that's just the calories we burn from simple things like talking with our hands, like I do a lot. It might be fidgeting with your legs, tapping your foot to a song. It could be mowing the lawns, doing the dishes, just those non-exercise things, okay? And then, of course, we've got our TEF. Now, this stands for the thermic effect of food. Now, different foods that we eat, okay, have a different thermic effect on the way that our body burns through those guys, okay? So the way that the furnace, okay, stokes up, so the metabolism. Now, different macronutrients, so our protein, our carbohydrates, and our fats have a different thermic effect to one another. So for example, the thermic effect of protein is about 25 to 30%, so it's quite high. Carbohydrates is about 6 to 8% thermic effect, okay, and then fats is about 2 to 4%. Now it's also important to know that fibre has pretty much the same thermic effect as protein, 25 to 30%, which is quite high. This is why it's always good to eat a high protein, high fibre diet, simply because of the great thermic effect we get from our body digesting those foods. And then we come to exercise activity. So this is your set training that you're doing on any given day, whether it be weight training or some form of cardio training, okay? That only equates to about 10% of our total daily energy expenditure though. So it's not a lot. The big one, about 55 to 60%, is our BMR, the energy that we need to keep the lights on. So how do we create a calorie deficit? There's a couple of different ways of doing it. There's lots of different online calorie calculators that we can use that will give you your maintenance level, okay, of your calories. Now, these are good, but it's also important to understand that it's just a guesstimate, okay? It's not set in stone. So if you go to these different ones that are online and you type in all your details, okay, it's just going to be a guesstimate. Let's say hypothetically it says your maintenance calories is 2,115. It doesn't mean that it's 2,115, okay? So you've got to give and take a little bit. Now, what I recommend doing, the best way to do it, and although it's a little bit tedious, you're going to get a far closer result to giving you the actual number of your maintenance level. Okay, so what you need to do is track your meals over a 7-day period. Okay, and then obviously divide that number by 7, and that's going to give you your maintenance level of calories that you consume on a daily basis. So now, let's hypothetically say that we've added up our maintenance calories, we've tracked our food for a week, and let's say it comes to 2,500 that we're consuming on a daily basis. So like I said earlier, all we need to do is create a calorie deficit, okay? And I recommend being anywhere between 300 to 500 calories a day. Any more than that, personally, I think is a little bit too aggressive. And then we're starting to lose probably a little bit more lean muscle tissue. We want to try and maintain as much as we can, because the more lean muscle tissue that we have, the higher our BMR will be, okay? Our body's got to work harder to maintain that lean muscle tissue. So it's a good thing. This is why it's important to weight train as well. What we need to do now is know that we've got two options to force ourselves into a calorie deficit. What we can do is we can drop our calories down. So let's say we're consuming 2,500, hypothetically. We could drop that down to 2,200 or 2,100. So that's 300 to 500 calorie a day. That obviously is then gonna put us in a calorie deficit because we've been used to eating 2,500. The other option we've got is we can keep our intake the same, but then we need to force our calories out to go up. So what we can do there, guys, is a couple of things. Obviously, we can increase our activity, so we can do more weight training, we can do more cardio training, but then we can also play around with the thermic effect of food. So we can adjust our macronutrients. So when we increase our protein and our fiber, our body is going to burn more calories to digest those foods. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut out carbohydrates and fats. Definitely not what I'm saying, okay? They're very important macronutrients. But all I'm saying is we can tweak those around, bring them down, up our protein and our fiber just a little bit, which is going to give us that better thermogenic effect. But we need to have a little bit of common sense when it comes to these things, because a lot of the time people do two things. They drop their calories in right down, okay? And then their energy expenditure, so the calories out, they boost right up. So they go crazy on the cardio, they go crazy in the weight training, and it's just not sustainable, okay? So what happens is we get a week or 2 weeks into it, and then all of a sudden we crash and burn, and we fall back into our old ways again, and the circle, or the cycle, just keeps repeating over and over again. So here's what I recommend doing for you guys. Finding your maintenance calorie level, okay? Again, there's plenty of online calculators that do this for you. Remember, it's just a guesstimate. I recommend highly tracking your food, even though it's a little bit tedious. Just track it for 7 days, okay, then divide it, and then you'll see the calories, that your maintenance calories on a daily basis. Once you've got that, okay, what I recommend then doing is making that small adjustment. So between 300 and 500 calories a day. Then you can look at your training. Now, we can't go crazy. We don't want to go throwing it through the roof because again, it's not sustainable. So you just need to look at the volume that you're doing. You might be able to increase the volume a little bit, but you don't need to increase it a lot. Okay, so let's say, for example, you've been doing, say, 3 cardio sessions a week for, let's say, 20 minutes, hypothetically. You might look at doing 4 or 5 cardio sessions a day. Jeepers, don't do it a day. 4 or 5 cardio sessions over the course of a week, keeping it at the same time domain, 20 minutes. Or you might go, you know what, I like to have a few rest days here and there. So I'm gonna, instead of doing it 4 or 5 days, I'm just gonna up it to 30 minutes a day, okay? Just increase the volume that way. Or you might increase an extra weight training session a week. It doesn't take a lot to create that calorie deficit. This part's important, guys. You need to track the calories that you're consuming. So like we just did at the start, to find out the calories that we're for our maintenance levels, we're gonna need to do that daily, okay? So we can see the amount that we're consuming, obviously, and to know if we're actually in that calorie deficit. You don't have to track your meals forever, okay? This is really important to understand. And again, I know it can be a little bit tedious at the start, but it's also very educational. And after, honestly, a few short days, you get really good at knowing, you know, how much 100 grams of minced steak is, or 133 grams of banana. Like, you'll be able to look at it and go, you know what, that banana, that's about 130 grams. You become like a ninja. Trust me, it happens. So just to recap, guys, break it down for you nice and simply. All we need to know about losing weight is we need to be burning more calories than what we're consuming over an extended period of time. Find your maintenance calorie level. Again, you can use an online calculator, or like I suggest, is tracking it manually yourself. Once we've established our maintenance calorie level, drop it by 300 to 500 a day. Now, if you find after a week or two that your body weight's remaining the same, you quite simply are still not in a calorie deficit. We'll therefore have to reassess our daily consumption of calories. So drop it down at just a little bit lower again, or increase our energy expenditure. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I've tried to break it down nice and simply for you. Please guys, if you've got any questions or anything about it, drop them below, okay? And I'll get back to you. Reach out at any time if I can help you in any possible way. If you did find this video informative, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be awesome. Be extremely appreciated, guys. And I'll see you on our next one.